on, you bastard!
Brought to you by supporters who probably have better taste than this schmuck.
Toy-only designs are something I absolutely love, but I feel they just don't get enough focus these days. I've already made a full short about it, but I miss those kinds of toys. I miss the kind of figures that are allowed to just be figures, not figures that are trying to be accurate to something else. Not figures that are trying to be a reference, figures that are just trying to be fun, and that's it. The movies gave us a lot of these, but in the advent of excessive accuracy, we don't get that anymore. Even the kids' shows just focus on side characters that might have appeared in 1 or 2 episodes, or opportunistic redecos. It just isn't the same. It just doesn't hold the same fun factor that I feel it really should. So today, I kind of want to take a look at what we're missing. What we should be getting these days, but sadly aren't. You have no idea how long I've been waiting to do these. Seriously, every time I've wanted to do a marathon, other things have taken priority and things have shifted around, and then I haven't done the marathon because I've had other projects going on, and now finally I get to do these things. And I am very excited because I love toy-only characters. They help fill the waves and make the toy line feel more robust instead of waiting for the eventual Studio Series version that'll come 3 years after the toy line was done. And these two are really, really lovely examples of it, both representing the Legion and Commander Cyberverse classes. Flak is just a lovely armored transport. I just adore the way he looks. He looks like something that would fit right in with the Nest Global Alliance, with awesome detail and awesome paint. The paint is the main thing you notice. I mean, it's got a bloody awesome camo. It actually makes the details a bit difficult to spot at times. I mean, there's a lot of greebling on the side here, but you normally wouldn't notice it. I mean, you got the hatch molded in up there, you've got all these danger lines, doors at the back that you'd never notice otherwise because, oh look, it's camo, it looks great. That's not a criticism, by the way. It's just that the paint is honestly so bloody good that you don't notice anything else with the figure. I love how mean the front of it looks. Just squinting with its windows and having the mean front section that just spikes into everything. Actually reminds me a little bit of Breacher. I know they're not really the same thing, but it kind of reminds me of that. Even got a nice little turret on the top. Now, unfortunately, this turret doesn't rotate properly. It's on an angle because of how it transforms, so you can see it doesn't rotate at the right axis. Bit of a shame, but aside from that, brilliant little figure. Very few seam lines on show. You barely think this thing even transforms. I mean, you got exposed joints in there, but it's a Legends figure. What you really gonna do? Really gonna complain about that? Come on, mate. I barely have any complaints about this. I mean, you even got a rotating turret up at the front there with the gun. Nice little feature, even if it's mostly unintentional. And Guzzle works really, really good too. The paint isn't as crazy, mostly because it's just kept to the treads and some of the decals, but that allows a lot of the detail to shine. I mean, look at the greebling on the side of this thing. I don't think I've seen a tank that's this well detailed aside from maybe Magic Square Brawl. I love the decals they have at the back here. I don't think they're a reference to anything, but they look lovely. And everything about them is just so clean. Again, there's not a lot of seam lines that are that visible. Aside from the obvious hinge up here, but you know, Legends figure, what you gonna do? Unfortunately, there is one big downside. The turret can't rotate at all. The gun doesn't even move up and down. It's just is what it is. Given how it transforms, I can kind of understand, but I'm still a bit disappointed. Would have loved to have a rotating turret. It would just really bring this to life. But other than that, basically no complaints. These two are fantastic vehicles. They don't have to adhere to anything. They don't have to be anything other than fun transformers, and that's what I love in certain toys. We even get great weapon storage on Guzzle at the top here. Those are the handheld weapons just sitting there, and they don't even feel out of place. That's cool. That's amazing. Anyway, Flak is 7 centimeters by 3.2 centimeters by 3 centimeters. Also, Flak has pinwheels, so he rolls lovely. Whee! Guzzle has pinwheels too, but they don't really accomplish anything. They're those fake wheels at the bottom. Oh yeah, that's the entire robot, but who really cares? As for Guzzle's dimensions, he's 10.5 centimeters if you include the turret, by 4.5 centimeters, by about 4 centimeters. And size-wise, here they are next to a standard Legion figure, which Flak basically is. A standard core class figure, a standard modern Micromaster, a standard modern Minicon, a not-so-standard LEGO minifigure, and Crumbs. Transformations on these two are actually really good. They're unique and clever, and they do things that you wouldn't really expect. First thing we'll do is just get this out of the way to make things a bit easier. Bring out the arms on the side here. They just fold out there. And seam lines you wouldn't even notice. Separate the legs like so from the backpack. The waist section rotates down like that, allowing you to bring the torso into place and pushing it there. And you're basically done, but if you've got the turret in the right way, you just rotate it over the top. And he's got a tiny Weedle gun. That's adorable. Oh, right, forgot you also need to bring the arms out. Yes, he actually has has dedicated elbows. That is not something common for a Legion class figure. And flak is also pretty good, although first let's just remove the handheld weapons because we're going to use those later. Take this section over and put it over the top, revealing the hands. Bring this entire section down. Feet can rotate down. Separate the turrets. Separate the entire top section like so, and it all rotates outwards. Bring the legs down like so now he's got dedicated legs. Bring the shoulders down. Take these panels and rotate them up to the sides like so, and bring the arms forward, and we are done. That is the most movieverse Guzzle you will ever see. It's unmistakably G1 Guzzle, more G1 than most of the movie bots are, but oh god, that is a really good way to get that design to work. And in robot mode, these two are very lovely. They got a lot of jank in certain areas, but they use that jank to their advantage, a skill that's pretty much exclusive to toy-only characters. Because you're designing them as toys, not as accurate things to something else, you can really do whatever you like. You can really make it work for the design. Instead of having to have all the kibble fold into the back, you can move sideways and make a Guzzle a bruiser. Instead of having issues with how the arms work, you can just redesign the arms for flak. It just works really bloody well. Flak is a very big deviation from his G1 design, but it really works for him. He's just a little guy. What's he gonna do? The way the front works as a torso, but also moves downwards, it's a really nice effect. It's sort of similar to the inner robot of Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime, where it kind of looks a little bit utilitarian, like it's got some weight on, but it's tactical weight, not that he's obese or anything. The Autobot symbol stands out really well with its silver, the windows look lovely. The head is a bit of nothing. It's not the greatest head sculpt ever, but you don't really notice next to the big fuck-off cannon on the side. All you really get here is a bit of upward and downward motion, but it's such a cool aesthetic. And if you don't really want to deal with it, you can always just rotate it back onto the side there. Still works fine, so he can just deploy whenever he likes. That's a really cool play feature. It's more playability than most Legion figures. The legs are painted quite nicely with that extra bit of sands there. It kind of breaks up the thighs. Makes it really look like he's carrying his weight of utilities over him. He is a bit hollow, but I mean, Legends figure, what you really gonna do? I feel like his articulation could be a lot better because the arms unfortunately don't go all the way down thanks to the way the kibble works. But still, he's got ball jointed shoulders and an elbow bend, which is very nice. And ball jointed hips that go out as well. Just sort of standard Legion Legends articulation. It works reasonably well. Flak is very much a what you see is what you get type figure. There's not a lot crazy to him. There's not a lot I can blab on like the last Dark of the Moon video I did. But he really doesn't need to be. He's just a nice little fun Legion guy. He's not one that a lot of people gravitated towards because he never showed up in the movie, and oh no nostalgia if you didn't show up in the movie. But he's still really, really nice. Really, my only gripe is that at the back here, the kibble kind of sits back down there, so it falls behind the waist section. I feel that could have been a lot better if it was incorporated to the side of the legs here, but given how he transforms, I kind of see why they didn't do that. It's a bit of a complex transformation for the price point, so I do understand. I'm not going to complain about it. It works fine. Anyway, size-wise, he is roughly 4.8 centimeters by 8 centimeters. And then we get to Guzzle, and he takes a lot more risks, but he's also quite lovely. The design is a lot more distinct, with a far more distinct and far lovelier head sculpt, way more experimental proportions, a lot more detail, and a lot more paint. Seriously, all the paint makes itself known in this vehicle mode. They use the tread paint to also paint out the details on the shoulders, and the tread paint also makes the legs look very nice. But then they got sand on the thighs, same as Flak had, and it just looks lovely. The detail on this thing is probably some of the best I've seen on the Dark of the Moon Cyberverse toys. I mean, he is just so greebled. Look at everything here. Aside from just the vehicle mode stuff, they've got all this sculpting here to hide the hollowness. Because this is technically waffling, but they use all of the sculpting to hide it really well. Pretty clean too. From the back, there's not a lot of kibble. Really, all the kibble is just stuck on the side here. The shoulders are unfortunately saddled with these parts up here. If they could fold in a bit better, this figure would be pretty much perfect kibble-wise. But I'm not really going to complain about that. It's still a bloody fantastic figure. I just love the way the head sculpt works with the piercing blue in there. The blue doesn't show up anywhere else, but it just looks lovely. Almost like my nails, actually, only a little bit lighter. And without the sparkles. The articulation is pretty good, too. You've got ball joints at the shoulders, but they only really go forward. The outward motion's not that great. Elbow ball joints that get up here, and they also move to the side, but they are very tight, and it's on a very loose thing, so I wouldn't really recommend moving that around too much. Ball joints at the hips that do get outwards, and a knee bend. I do kind of wish there was a thigh swivel in there, but, you know, there's not really much room, and the budget is a thing. This is a figure that's putting all of its budget into the figure itself, compared to Optimus Prime, which kind of took it all out for the backpack. And I think I prefer the way this does it. This is a way better way to do it. I only really have 2 complaints with the figure overall, 2 things that I feel they should have fixed. I don't like the shade of yellow on the torso. It looks fine on camera, but in person, it looks a bit like piss. It's a little bit gray, a little bit desaturated, just doesn't look very well in person. On camera, it looks fantastic. but in person, not so much. And secondly, I kinda wish this gun would remove on the back. It just sits either there, or it goes downwards and sits there. It cannot be taken out, it is permanently stuck in there, and that's a bit of a shame. Especially because he does come with his own weapons that peg into the arms. Weapons that do look quite nice. You've got the grenade launcher as well, which actually opens up with its own separate hinge. So it's got two very lovely guns, and I really like it. And they don't cause issues with the budget at all. I mean, they still put a lot into the figure itself. Again, unlike Optimus Prime. And if they'd done the same with that gun on the back, I feel that would have been the perfect weapon system. Sure, he couldn't really hold all of the weapons, but, you know, given how Flak was able to have the over-the-shoulder thing, it's a bit disappointing. Really, what you got here is a figure that is far safer, but still really fun, and a figure that takes more risks, but, you know, reaps better rewards. They're both really lovely, and there's not a lot I can complain about either of them. They are peak Movieverse OC toy, and if you're into those kinds of toys, these two are must pickups. But to finish off, Guzzle is about 9.5 centimeters wide, and if you have the cannon down, he's about 9.2 centimeters tall. And to finish off, here they are next to a standard Legion figure, which Flak basically is, a standard Core Class figure, a standard modern Micromaster, a standard modern Minicon, a not so standard Lego minifigure, and crumbs. I'm not going to pretend that accurate figures don't sell. They really do. Hasbro is onto something with their screen accuracy, and it is good to see for those kinds of fans. But I feel there should also be toys that engage with new fans as well. Sure, an accurate toy can engage with a new fan, but there's always going to be that missing charm. With Guzzle and Flak, yes, they are nostalgic characters, but for all intents and purposes, they are new. They're not references to anything, they are just fun toys, and I really feel Transformers is missing that. Maybe the proof is in the pudding, maybe the sales indicate all, and maybe Hasbro is just looking in the long term in a way I can't see it. But I miss toys like this, and I will continue to miss them. I'm not going to pretend these are the best toys ever. They do have their issues, but they are so much fun, and I really wish we'd get more like them. But I think that's enough of me blabbing in front of a camera. I feel like tomorrow we should switch over to some of the full reviews. For those new, this marathon doesn't just include me in this kind of format, it also includes proper videos. Well, I guess this is a proper video, but I mean a proper Dr. Lockdown review. Tomorrow, it's a versus. Tomorrow, we're comparing some of the older and some of the newer legends in a way that I've wanted to do for so goddamn long. I've had a bone to pick with some of the Legacy Core Class figures, and I'm about to show why. So with that, see you tomorrow!